Back in 2020, I was one of the few lucky people to get a PS5 on release. With that release, I also got Demon's Souls. Now, you might be asking yourself, why didn't you beat Demon's Souls and get the platinum back when it came out? Well, I started the game, I died in the starting area a few times, and then I promptly quit playing. So yeah, here we are revisiting Demon's Souls all these years later. The Demon's Souls Platinum, some of it is fairly straightforward, you just gotta beat every boss in the game, but there also is some trophies that are not very straightforward, since you have to deal with the game's world and character tendencies. Without a guide, I don't know how anybody would figure this shit out. But with that being said, here's my journey for the Demon's Souls Platinum. Starting off in the tutorial area, I actually beat the tutorial boss my first try. After that, I went through the game and beat some of the game's first bosses, including the Phalanx, the Tower Knight, and the Armored Spider. It was at this point that I decided to make a new character and pivot to a magic build, since that is by far the easiest way to play most Souls games. This game is no exception, with the spells being absurdly overpowered. Anyways, after I got to the point where I was in my last playthrough, I went and grabbed a new weapon that we would carry with us the entire game, and started a new level. This level definitely had the most terrifying enemies in the entire game. For the next trophy, I had to get through this barrage of arrows without having to go around it. Just before the boss fight, I went and freed an NPC for another trophy. For the boss fight, I had an opportunity for two trophies, one for simply beating the boss, and another one for beating the boss without hitting any of the clones. Now, it's actually a lot easier than you might think. The clones have a health bar above them when you lock onto them, and the actual boss does not, so it's pretty easy to tell apart which is the real boss. You get a pair of trophies for the next boss fight, one for just simply defeating him, and one for defeating him without him falling over. Now this one's actually really easy with the magic build. You basically just shoot him once, back up, shoot him once, back up, until you win. So yeah, that's a boss fight. Up next is Leechmonger. Not too difficult, just pretty easy to dodge his attacks, and even if you do get hit, it's not that big of a deal. Next up, I got a trophy for defeating Flamelurker. By far the most difficult boss in the game, but honestly, once you get the timing down, it's not too bad. Really enjoyed the fight though. Following Flamelurker, one of the better boss fights in the game is Dragon God, by far the worst boss fight in the entire game. A complete gimmick fight where you basically have to play peekaboo with Dragon God. If he sees you, you die. The only good thing about this boss fight is that you get 2 trophies, one for beating him and one for beating him with the weapon called Hands of God. Unfortunately, I didn't have the stats to wield them, so I only did like 2 damage a hit, so it literally took me 10 minutes of punching him in the face for
One eternity later.
For this boss fight, I get 2 trophies, one for defeating him and one for defeating him with Bior. For this trophy is simply giving a weapon back to Satsuki, an NPC who is in one of the levels at the beginning of the level. It is very important to not kill him, as he would go back to the Nexus and start killing all the NPCs. Because after you give him the weapon, he immediately attacks you.
Yes, this lot there is only one.
Now, something I haven't explained too much has been the world and character tendencies. I feel like if I try to include every single little bit of it, the video would be like 10 hours long. But the point, basically, you have to die 7 times in each world in human form in order to summon a red phantom that you have to kill. And these red phantoms have a metric ton of health. They do a ton of damage. He can pretty much kill you in usually 1 or 2 hits. Can't remember the exact specifics of each item they drop, but I do know a lot of it is required for you to get rings and miracles and spells and stuff like that. Mostly I think it is just to get access to rings and stuff. But also there are 5 red phantoms and you have to have the striking blow, so you can't kill them with a spell. Or like a status effect like bleed or something like that. This process was super annoying. I actually somehow lost the miracles trophy. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in with that. Coming at you with a couple online trophies. The first one is defeating a player as an invader. Yeah, I got a little cheesy with that one, but for the next trophy, helping a player defeat a boss, this one took me hours to find a game or find a matchup with somebody. I know most people got luck with Flame Lurker and the Armored Spider, but I ended up getting it with the Tower Knight. And I don't know, like every time I would go to one of these areas, there would just be a ton of people just waiting to find a match, and eventually I got lucky. Finally, after all the back and forth, and save states, and running around and looking at guides and all that nonsense, I finally got the King of Rings trophy. And up next is the final boss fight, Old King Allant. Pretty easy, actually. Up next, I would get a trophy for the ending, and also I did a save state, so I could also get the Maiden of Black Demon Soul. And I also created a weapon for a trophy. And that is the end of the first playthrough. I did have to do about halfway of another playthrough just to kill some more bosses so I could get their boss souls and use those to get the last trophy in the game for acquiring all spells. Not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun running through a New Game Plus and just destroying the bosses with Firestorm.
Thank you.
Oh, Sage's trophy.
I hope my witchcraft may be of some help.
Slayer of Demons. Overall, I thought Demon's Souls was a pretty good game, just with a bunch of gimmicky boss fights. The world and level designs were great, and even the boss designs were pretty cool too. Just unfortunate that so many of the bosses were kind of like a gimmick or experimental. But overall, I thought the game was really fun. I recommend that you guys try it yourself. But that is it for the Platinum Trophy. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.